We can finally do it! We can finally leave this crappy town and live the life we've all dreamed of!
We can?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 things only kids do and think it's normal.
Nadine, look what you did to Arthur.
For this list, we'll be going over the behaviors and activities favored by children, which many find weird or mystifying as adults. To be clear, we're not saying we didn't do many of these things too. If there's something that you only see kids doing, which we couldn't remember that we did, remind us in the comments. Number 10, walking habits. Walking is such a basic, boring action that kids are bound to spruce it up to make it interesting.
Walking, walking, walking. Handball break.
Woohoo! Kids love to make up little rules about where they can walk or not, like only stepping on certain colors on tiled floors or the classic adage, step on a crack, break your mother's back. That's if they're not just walking backwards for fun or making outlandishly big steps or something else weird. As famously illustrated by Monty Python, while adults doing the same thing is hilarious, it does stand out far more than if kids do it. Number 9, mixing strange ingredients. Children have no concept of what's normal when it comes to food. They haven't been alive long enough. If they like two things separately, why wouldn't they go together?
Guys, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me.
Seeing adults cook, they're naturally curious as to whether they can create culinary masterpieces like their parents. This can range from just mixing all the sodas at the fountain together to mixing the contents of a cupboard together.
Should I put the chocolate in now?
Put it in, I'll pour the milk.
While adults are certainly guilty of this too, weird mashups of foods are far from the norm. Most people aren't busting out the bizarre flavor combos at dinner parties, is what we're saying.
What are you doing? I was making a quality cucumber shake here.
Number 8, running upstairs on all fours. Kids like to run around on all fours. After all, it wasn't too long ago that they were crawling on their hands and knees, so it makes sense.
I grew up running on all fours. It changed the bone structure.
They especially love doing it on stairs, either because it's easier to get up them that way or because they want to imitate their pets. While it can be endearing for children, this kind of behavior is generally frowned upon among adults, especially in public. Something about adults moving about on 4 limbs produces a kind of uncanny valley effect, or else it feels like something out of a horror movie. Number 7, making marker swords. Markers or felt pens, depending on where you're from, are brightly colored drawing implements. Generic brands usually have a circular knob at the base and a gap in the cap. This lets kids and kids at heart attach multiple markers together. Naturally, we all did what any kid would do and made swords with them. Of course, hitting them against anything harder than a feather makes them come apart, but it's nice to dream. In this case, it's not that adults think marker swords are weird. Most of us just don't use or even see markers often enough to make them regularly.
Those who live by the sword will die by the sword.
Number 6, licking everything. Children are far more willing to put things in their mouths or their mouths on other things than adults are.
Like double dog dare ya!
Now it was serious.
You ask an adult to lick something on the street, and unless they're strange, they're not doing it unless there's money involved.
This is nuts.
Kids, on the other hand, will lick everything from windows to poles to markers, you name it. They'll touch it with their tongue, which, quite frankly, is weird. This is the age group worried about an imaginary disease like cooties.
You have cooties! You have cooties! No, I don't!
What they should be concerned about are the real germs they're picking up from licking everything.
How was your dinner, Elise? Shut up.
Number 5, sleeping in awkward positions.
Come on now, it's bedtime.
Adults love sleeping just as much as kids do. However, most of us have figured out how to avoid falling asleep if we're not in bed. Kids have no such restraint.
What, huh? You were sleeping like teacher.
They're far more likely to nod off wherever they happen to be, whether it be flat on their faces, on the toilet, on a ride at an amusement park, or just standing. Kids are also prone to the wildest positions when they fall asleep. Whether their limbs are stuck out at odd angles, their heads are on hard surfaces, or their feet are up in the air, kids can fall asleep wherever or however they want.
Put on your PJs. Hold still. Okay, seriously.
On the one hand, we're a little jealous, but on the other, there's no way that's comfortable. Number 4, running away from home. Let's be clear here. Sometimes running away from home is warranted. There are some bad situations out there, and regardless of age, if you're in one, leaving home can be a good option.
You've nowhere to go.
I don't care. Anywhere's better than here.
That's not what we're talking about, though. Kids are far more likely to leave home for perceived slights like not being able to stay up as late as they want or not getting to have ice cream for dinner.
Oh, Kyle, he's gone. Your little brother's run away from home.
Of course, usually they realize that having to listen to their parents is a much better option than trying to sleep at the playground or wherever they run off to.
Go, Marvin! Run home! Run home?
Run home!
Run home, run home. Run home, run home.
When adults depart their homes, it's usually, though not always, for more serious reasons.
Don't ever show your face in here again.
Number 3, playing the recorder. Millions of kids for generations have taken practical music classes in school. And the first and most popular instrument for kids to learn on is the recorder. It's cheap, easy to learn on, and doesn't take up a lot of space. However, as kids get older, middle education tends to drop recorders as an option. And because of its association with children as well as their high pitch, adults rarely use recorders to make music.
Wow. Lost for words.
Parents who have to listen to their kids practice certainly don't favor them either. Unless they're still learning notes themselves or going from something different, you won't catch most people over 10 using a recorder.
Why don't you try this clarinet? It's like the recorder, but cooler.
Number 2, screaming for no reason. Look, kids are emotional beings. Logic doesn't really enter into their behavior sometimes. If an adult screams, chances are they're surprised, scared, or on a roller coaster. The last of which may involve surprise or fear too. Or they're just a jerk. But kids are a lot freer with letting loose and yelling themselves hoarse.
Come on, Dylan. I'll let you hold my keys. How about lifesavers? You like lifesavers? How about money? $1.
While kids yelling at the top of their lungs when they're angry or upset is all too common, they'll also go full volume when they're playing or having fun, if for no other reason than they can.
Just a kid yelling.
Society or their parents haven't conditioned them to consider others when expressing themselves.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, having imaginary friends.
Oh, I love Imagination Land.
Children have boundless imaginations. When they play, they can conjure landscapes, objects, and people within their own minds.
Here you go, Nadine. You can have some of my cauliflower. Mom, Nadine wants her biscotti cut up too.
The last of these leads to the phenomenon of imaginary friends, people or creatures that kids think up and pretend to interact with.
I hate to break it to you, but your brother is a big fat doofus.
Most kids usually grow out of them, either making real friends or not finding their imaginary ones necessary anymore.
Riley can't be done with me.
This is the main reason you don't see adults making fictional friends. They also realize that speaking to someone who isn't there can come across as more than a little odd, particularly when in the company of real people.
Nadine thinks she might get scared. Maybe we can go when she's more grown up.
I guess it's a good thing Nadine has a friend like you.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.